to our showroom and discover our exceptional selection of brand new Nissans.
We're also stocked with the best pre-owned options in the market.
And as we expand, we're not just growing our inventory, we're also growing our team.
So join a team that values your skills and celebrates your success.
Visit us online or in-store today and view our current job listings at bouchercareers.com.
Searching for auto, light truck tires, or service? Visit the Tire Professionals at Pomp's Tire Service. Trusted and family-owned for over 80 years. With over 200 locations in 17 states. Great pricing on hand-cooked tires and all major brands. Pomp's Tire, one of the largest commercial and retread dealers, providing truckers and fleets with the most dependable 24-hour road service. Pomp's Tire, proud partner of Hand Cooked Tire, the official tire of Major League Baseball. Never halfway Hand Cooked Tire. For the best deals on tires and all your service needs, visit pompstire.com.
When planning your next getaway, you want to be sure you have all your bases covered. The Island Resort and Casino has all the amenities you'd expect from a premier resort destination. Plus, well, you could say it's bases loaded with 2 championship golf courses, a luxury hotel and spa, Vegas-style gaming, casual and fine dining, and live entertainment. Visit islandresortandcasino.com to plan your trip today. Because when it's the Island Resort and Casino, your total experience is a grand slam.
Come on, guys, get your shoes on. We're heading to Grandma's house.
Can I have an ice cream sandwich on the way? I saw some cedar crust in the freezer.
And you thought those were for you?
Well, yeah, I did.
Because you're the only one who likes cedar crust ice cream?
No, Arlo likes it too.
Yes, I do.
And I know how much you love your kids, Mom. Almost as much as your kids love cedar crust.
Well, you're right. But don't eat all of them. Your dad and I like cedar crust too. Grab one for each of us.
Cedar crust ice cream sandwiches, available in vanilla and black cherry.
Get up! Get out of here and go!
Covering the Crew all season long on WTMJ. It's Brewers Extra Innings. Now live from American Family Field, here's your host, Dominic Cotroneo.
Shucks. Just the Dodgers, man. They got your numbers sometimes. They're a really good team. Best team that money could buy, as some would say. But hey, they won tonight, fair and square, 5-2 the final. They beat up Freddie Peralta. The Brewers couldn't get anything done against Clayton Kershaw. We'll break it all down with Craig Kashan in a little bit. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. If you want to join us here, it's 855-616-1620, 855-616-1620. You can call in, you can text in, and we'll have some conversations about this one. There are a few things that jump out to me as we'll start talking about Freddie Peralta, because I think that's the number one thing that everybody wants to talk about. And I want to say something that might be unpopular, and it's what I feel is that, look, I know Freddie is the opening day starter, and I know that he is seen as the quote-unquote number one. And the way that this season started, he really picked up from where he left off last second half, where you're thinking, okay, yeah, this is the guy. And in fact, in April, and this includes one clunker in there, in April, the team went 6-0 in his first 6 starts. He was 3-0. He had a 3.21 ERA. He had only allowed 4 homers in his first 33 innings of the season. But since starting 6-0, he is now, and the team is 8-10 in games that Freddie Peralta starts. And I know we label him as a 1. That is not a number 1 record. It just isn't. And let's also be honest, too. The entire spectrum of Freddie Peralta's career, aside from the second half last season and maybe the first half in 2021 when he earned his first and only All-Star nod, those are really the only regions of his career that he has pitched like an ace. Remember, the second half of 21, there was a shoulder issue in there because pitchers were still hitting in 2021 and a lot of other stuff that happened there. And he pitched like an ace in the postseason, but he had to get pulled because the Brewers were begging for offense in Game 4 against Atlanta. But I guess the larger point I'm trying to make here is Freddie is being asked to be a number 1, and maybe his ceiling is not to be a number 1. Maybe his ceiling is really to be a 3. And quite frankly, being a 3 isn't a bad job in the big leagues, okay? It's when the team needs you to be a quote-unquote stopper, right? The guy that the last few years that you would say, all right, well, Corbin Bird's going today. He's your stopper. All right, well, Brandon Woodruff's going today. boom, he's your stopper. Freddie Peralta's going today, you're like, So you're hoping he can click it into gear sooner as opposed to later, because let's also be honest and be fair to him here, because it's not like some nobody hit a home run off him today. You've got a future Hall of Famer in Mookie Betts, another future Hall of Famer in Shohei Ohtani who went yard off him today. Let's not act like this is some 4A guy who you've never heard of and it's a bad team on the other. Let's also be honest with that too. He gave up 4 runs in 6 innings, which maybe most other nights gives you a chance to win, but when it's against the Dodgers, it feels a lot worse. And there were flaws in this attack today from Freddie, in my opinion. Once again, we saw the usual, way too many pitches. And the inning that jumped out to me was the second inning. He gets a 1-2-3 first, no big deal, on 11 pitches. So now you're through the so-called gauntlet, if you will, of Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. And I'm not trying to disrespect Teoscar here, but with Teoscar leading off an inning, you'd much rather have that than have him come up with a man on base. And then he gets Teoscar to strike out on 6 pitches. He gets Lux to fly out on 5 pitches. But he walks Will Smith, who came in barely hitting over 100 here in August. He walks Will Smith on 7 pitches, and then he eventually fell behind 2-0 on Miguel Rojas before getting him to ground out. That's an inning that just can't be 21 pitches long. Those are the innings that you look in like, man, how is he already at 60 pitches in the 3rd inning or in the 4th inning or whatever? And those are the innings that you look back and like, man, nothing happened in that inning, and it all got away from him very, very quickly. And then even in the 3rd inning, leading to the home run, it was an infield hit from Kike Hernandez on a bouncing ball up the middle. Okay, no big deal. The Dodgers, they understand, especially the bottom 3 guys in their order, they understand their role. Set it up for the big boppers up top. Kevin Kiermaier, hey man, I'm hitting like a $190. I don't mind hitting a sac bunt here to set up for Ohtani. Ohtani ended up grounding out. Okay, so maybe you escaped here and you got a chance to escape the frame. And Mookie comes up after he made him look silly back in the 1st inning. He misses over the middle of the plate, and boom, home run, which is a familiar scene, an all too familiar scene from Freddie Peralta this season with the home runs. He's now allowed 21 home runs this season. He allowed 26 all of last season. He is approaching a career high in that category. I think the number one thing with the usage and things that we can see that are certainly different from Freddie Peralta to this point in the season versus years past is he's simply not fastball Freddie anymore. This has not been his MO as of late. He threw 57% fastballs today, which is about his season average. But the thing that alarms me about his most important pitch, arguably, is how few he was throwing it for, or how little he was throwing it for a strike. 35 of 55 fastballs were strikes, which, just the raw numbers doesn't sound crazy. Less than 2/3 were strikes. And I know what you're thinking, well, Dom, you can't throw all your pitches for strikes. You're not wrong. But if it's your fastball and you're having uncompetitive misses high and out of the zone, and you're facing a team that is really competitive in the zone, the Brewers are getting a taste of their own medicine with long at-bats, no chase, bat-to-ball ability, and the fastball has to start with all that. Another thing that alarms me about Freddie Peralta, and this has kind of been true for a few months now, and we saw it happen earlier in the year too, but especially lately, his struggles with men on base. And over his last 2 starts, he's been working exclusively out of the stretch, maybe to try to get this back on track for him, that it's not a big deal when he switches to have a man on base. But this is a stat that kind of blew my mind. He was less than 50% strikes with men on base. He threw 26 pitches with a man on. Only 12 of them were strikes. And furthermore, 19 of those 26 were fastballs. He goes back to what's familiar. He goes back to what he's known as fastball Freddie, and that's when he's making mistakes with men on base. Both the home runs had a man on base. Now, granted, the Ohtani home run was on a 3-0 pitch that was off the outside corner. I think he was still trying to be careful. He didn't pick a vertical angle. He didn't pick, am I going to go up or am I going to go down? He missed in the middle. Even though it was off the plate away, that's where Shohei likes it. And he hit a ball. I don't think I've ever seen a lefty hit a ball to that region of the ballpark here at American Family Field that hard, too. And he's a freak. And at the end of the day, if I would have told you that it was like scraped together a couple of runs, 6 innings, and 4 runs allowed against Freddie, maybe you feel a little bit differently. I'm not saying you'd be satisfied. But the fact that it was 2 home runs against 2 bona fide stars, superstars, makes you just feel like that's what we've seen. We know that can happen from Freddie Peralta. I do think the Brewers can find a way to rework his command. I mean, clearly you could see him working with his rotation, working through his mechanics today. He was getting a lot of 2-strike counts, but like we're used to, he's not getting strikeouts, and maybe this is a bad matchup for him too, in the fact that he's a guy that nibbles, he's a guy that relies on chase. The Dodgers are not a team that chases. They're comfortable with 2 strikes. They're also a fly ball home run team. Freddie Peralta is a fly ball home run pitcher. And the last thing here on Freddie that I've observed, talking about the fastball Freddie stuff, year over year, his fastball usage has dropped since 2021. Just overall using it less. Now, it was all the way down to 52% in 2021. It was up to 55% in 2022. And the batting average has slowly climbed against it. The slugging has really climbed against it as he allowed another couple of home runs on the pitch today. And the other thing that jumps out, and this is going to be a really nerdy note, the whiff is down. He's getting less swings and misses on the fastball, and I think part of it has to do with his stride and his mechanics. He's not getting nearly as much extension as we saw him get even just a couple of seasons ago. That's just measuring how far down the mound you're throwing. And he was over 7 feet on average with his fastball when he arrived, even into 21, even into 2022. He's under 7 feet now. That may not sound significant. 6.7 is his average extension this season. The reason why that's significant is because that's the difference of actually throwing harder, which he is actually throwing harder, but not being as deceptive. If he's throwing 93 with over 7 feet of extension, that creates a little bit of deception and makes it difficult for the hitter to pick up the fastball. Whereas you take a little bit of that extension out, it's essentially down half a foot since 2020. When you take that down, and even though he's throwing harder, 94 miles an hour on average this season, the hitters are able to pick it up a little bit sooner. Maybe they're able to see it. Doesn't have the same jump that it used to have. And I think that kind of all encompasses of what's going wrong with Freddie's fastball. 855-616-1620, 855-616-1620. Craig Gajon's going to join us in just a moment. A couple of texts here. Peralta, what a disappointment. After tonight, he's given up 25 homers. He's actually 21. You could feel the air deflate out of the Brewers' confidence meter after the first 2-run homer to Betts. It seems that Peralta's been giving up 1 or 2 homers every game he's pitched for the last 2 months, and he ain't doing it. That's from Mike in Colorado. This one, Brewers got beat by 3 Hall of Famers tonight, and having to go against a great lefty in the first game of a series doesn't help. That one from Doug. Yeah, I mean, you got Kershaw, you've got Betts, and you've got Ohtani that contributed tonight. Don't forget about Freddie Freeman. He's certainly on a Hall of Fame path as well. We'll get into some other of these texts, too. 855-616-1620. Again, 855-616-1620. Right here on your home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ.
When the power goes out, your life is disrupted. Heat, air conditioning, refrigeration, phones, all gone. Be prepared for the next outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Power your life with a generator from Adams, Wisconsin's #1 rated Generac dealer. Adams provides sales, installation, maintenance, and 24/7 service from all locations. Learn why Adams is your best choice in providing power peace of mind. Visit adamspower.com today.
An epic Brewers homestand kicks off August 9th, featuring a division duel against the Reds. First place battles with the Dodgers and Guardians, plus 3 giveaway games. Find the game for you at brewers.com/tickets.
Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. So he said to me, "Boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders." And I said, "You betcha." And he said, "Do you mind if I cherry pick?" And I said, "Feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Welcome back. I'm Tom Cotroneo. 855-616-1620 is the phone number. You can call in. You can text in as well. I want to remind you that Brewers Extra Innings all season long is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. With the local Milwaukee team, Fifth Third Bank also knows how to hit out of the park. They've been serving businesses in the area for nearly 15 years, offering industry-specific expertise and local decision-making capabilities to help your business succeed. It's commercial banking value that only Fifth Third can deliver. Fifth Third Bank, National Association, member FDIC. Hey, Mark and West Bend, appreciate you listening. You may have missed it earlier in the season. We're done talking about Trevor Bauer. And if I see another text about Trevor Bauer, we're a team that has 8 starters. Call in. Tell me why. Because tell me why 29 other teams don't want him either. There's a reason Trevor Bauer isn't here. And it's not just because the investigation got dropped. And all that. There's a lot of other stuff that just simply I cannot tell you of how heavy this stuff is and how deep this really goes. But no, Trevor Bauer's not going to be a Brewer. Drop it. Move on. I know a lot of folks on social media keep hitting that button. It's not going to happen. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen, Gretchen. Anyway, the Brewers today offensively were stymied by Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw is really, really impressive to say the least today, especially given a few things under the hood here from what I saw from Clayton Kershaw. I know the velo said 90. I know you saw some 88s in there, but the slider is still lethal. The curveball is still that majestic to the heavens and back down to your knees, just buckler. Those are still 2 Hall of Fame pitches. And furthermore, when you get under the hood and when you look at the fastball, I know it says 90 miles an hour, but the other thing about it is we talk about the ride, and we talk about the way that we can measure how much a pitch, how efficiently a ball carries. His fastball has always been one of the truest fastballs in the game, meaning it's straight, and it carries, and it holds. When it was 97, it was doing the same. In the pre-StatCast days, I would have loved to have seen the induced vertical break, what his vert numbers were on those peak fastballs, right, in 2013, 2014, because there was some impressive ride on those. And he's still getting impressive ride. He's still popping 18s and 19s. League average is 14. I mean, he's popping vert numbers better than Freddie Peralta's vert numbers, and that's really deep in the sauce here, meaning the ball is holding its line and it's carrying all the way to the plate better than Freddie Peralta's fastball is, even though Freddie's fastball is thrown firmer. Nonetheless, for me, it was the breaking ball that impressed me so much with Clayton Kershaw today. It looked like he didn't skip a beat. He got his first win of the season, and it was well-earned as we welcome in Craig Kashan here on the program. Craig, as I talked a little bit about Freddie in the first segment, we'll get to him in a minute, but I'm talking about Clayton right now. And Kershaw, as I'm looking at the numbers, he threw more sliders than any other pitch, and I know you've seen a lot of Clayton Kershaw's career. If I would have told you in 2015 that in 9 years, Kershaw's going to be throwing majority breaking balls as opposed to his fastball, it's proof that an old dog can learn new tricks.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many guys last that long though that have to perform the new tricks, right? To keep going, and very few can be as effective though, and last and be as effective as obviously that Kershaw has. So I don't know. This was one of those games where I just thought going in, it's his 4th start since he came off the injury list, been injured all year, that he had an opportunity against, a mixed lineup that the Brewers possess here right now of some veterans and some young guys. And, the one moment that stood out to me was the 5th inning when Adames led off with a single, then Sanchez was out. And then I thought he pitched around Hoskins so he could get to Frelick and Ortiz to finish things up, and that's exactly what he did. I don't know if he did that on purpose, but it sure looked like it to me. But that's also what he was afforded, I think, with this lineup here tonight as well. And the Brewers, they're hitting the ball a little bit better against lefties lately, but the bottom line is wins, losses, and they're still not beating left-handed starters.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that about pitching around Hoskins, and I know Kershaw had a couple of walks tonight, but I think one calling card of how dominant or how well a pitcher pitches is even when they're getting strikeouts, how many whiffs, how many swings and misses is he getting? And the answer was very few. In fact, at the end of the day, Kershaw only had 5 swings and misses after, 90 pitches or so from today's outing. He was getting weak contact today. And this was the stat that really sort of surprised me today from the Brewers, specifically against Clayton Kershaw. There were some hard hits. I mean, Williams' double was 111 off the bat. He had a ground at 109 off the bat. Churio had a couple of hard hit balls as well off of Kershaw. But aside from that, a clean single from Adames was at 98. Nobody else got over 95. I mean, even the outs were not hit that hard, aside from the William and Jackson outs. No one else was able to barrel Clayton Kershaw today because the slider was so effective and because of the way that he understood how to pick apart such a young lineup who grew up watching him in the big leagues. Now at 36 years young, he's facing them and understands what it takes to get these guys out.
Yeah, it's kind of, insane when you put it that way, but it's so true. And we've seen that before, with guys that just have been around the league 15, 20 years. And then, maybe a young rookie out of your whole lineup maybe facing him and maybe being a little bit. But, I mean, they hardly see this guy, whether you're especially if a first-year player, but even some of the second-year guys, like Frelick and Terang. And it's something. It just is. And I just think, Kershaw is just so good. I don't know much, how much longer he wants to pitch, Dom, but it just seems to me, as long as he's healthy, he can keep going for a while here. I don't see – I don't even want to say decline because like all the things that we're talking about, all the adjustments he's made during his career, his latter portion of his career is what veteran guys do. And, to me, I've seen him a lot, and it's been something to watch. I think that's the beauty of baseball when guys like that can make adjustments. Very few other guys in sports can make an adjustment like that and still compete at such a high level.
He's been impressive. I would also encourage, I mentioned this on the pregame show today, I recently finished The Last of His Kind, which is by Andy McCullough, a longtime LA Times beat writer of these Dodgers. It's all about Clayton Kershaw, the last of his kind. And it's just about the fact that every fifth day, this dude expects to go 7 innings, even when pitchers were hitting, even now, and doesn't care about pitch counts, wants to establish his fastball, just an old-school pitcher in today's modern game. Really, really would encourage folks to check out that book on Clayton Kershaw. Now, I wanted to give you the floor here a little bit because I spent the whole first segment talking about Freddie Peralta, and it's just that my takeaway here, Craig, is that I know that he's a quote-unquote number one, and he was the opening day starter. He opened the second half. Simply put, he has not performed like a number one. And we talked about it previously that if the playoffs started tomorrow, I would have Colin Ray start game one, not Freddie Peralta. But the big thing that jumped out to me is the fact that he's just not a stopper. Since the Brewers started 6-0 in his starts back in the first month of the season, since then they are just 8-10. Just because he's not a number one doesn't mean he's a bad pitcher, but it's just bad timing for him to have his worst season as a big leaguer when the Brewers needed him to be the one.
Absolutely, and it's tough to put your finger on why this is happening to Freddie. It just is, Dom. We've talked about this, several times. His numbers, when you look at the end of the day, his numbers never look bad. Rarely do they look bad, but they certainly don't look effective when it's pretty much consistently 4 runs on the board in 4, 5, maybe 6 innings of work. And some guys just, can't turn that corner. And right now, I'm not seeing Freddie turn that corner. He continues to fall behind in counts. It's kind of puzzling when you get to the bottom of the order and you're facing, a batter or two that isn't even hitting 200, for the second half of the season, and you're walking guys. You're giving up key base hits, 6, 7, 8, 9. They all got on base. at least once in this game, and they scored a couple of runs against him as well because the Big Boppers came up at the top. So I think there's a lot going on right now with Freddie, and I think the last time you and I did a show together, I said something about maybe skipping a start. I'm not sure if they just need to, find a way to hit the reset button with him. I don't think he's that far off, but he's far enough off where you wonder how this season is going to wind up and how effective as a starter he is going to be for you down the stretch here, because I think we're getting pretty close to crunch time. We're in mid-August, and I don't care that the Brewers have this huge lead here right now, but they may need this huge lead here right now, with him out on the mound. He hasn't won much lately in the last couple of months, so I think it is a little bit concerning.
Looking at it, I'm just counting out the dates right now here on the calendar, 6, 7. He's probably got 8 more regular season starts. Okay, do we have, just off the top of our head here, not necessarily a personal, like Freddie Peralta's pitching record, but if the Brewers can find a way, let's say it's 8 starts, maybe it's 9, but let's say it's 8 more starts for Freddie Peralta. I mean, at minimum, you got to be 5-3. I would hope you can find a way to be 6-2, regardless of the opponent in games that Freddie Peralta starts, and that starts with Freddie Peralta trying to find a way to get the job done.
Right, and that's not Freddie Peralta winning those games necessarily. It's right. Certainly the Brewers winning when he's on the mound. Now, look, they had some chances here to win this game. They didn't have huge threats. We know that. But it was still very close. With the Contreras home run, it cut it down to 4-2. And then Brian Hudson gives up a run. And it's still a 5-2 game, though. It's still very much within striking distance. And, yes, that's how the season has gone. But with Freddie out there, it's become the only consistency with Freddie on the mound is his inconsistent pitching right now. I mean, I don't know how else to term it. And you just can't, wave a magic wand and make it all go away. I mean, he was at 96 pitches over 6 innings, but he only threw 56 strikes. I mean, it's just another sign of being behind too often. And, it doesn't matter if you're behind Ohtani. He's going to hit a ball wherever he wants to, and we saw that on his home run. That 3-0 pitch wasn't even in the strike zone.
Yeah, exactly that. I think he misexecuted on the Mookie Betts homer, and then the home run to Shohei Ohtani is it was 3-0. I didn't throw him a strike, and then he hit a homer. So that was also the first career 3-0 homer for Shohei Ohtani. He's not a guy that swings super often on 3-0. Let's shift gears, talk a little bit about some offensive contributors, or lack thereof, if you will. Brewers fall tonight 5-2. A couple of texts in here as well, 855-616-1620 on your home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ.
Drive into summer with a beautiful new car from the International Autos Group. Get spectacular savings of up to $20,000, and 0.9% financing is available for 60 months. Every model in our 2,000 car inventory is priced to sell. The International Autos Group, Milwaukee, Waukesha, Sheboygan, and Brown Deer. Or at IAAutogroup.com, where our ordinary needs to be extraordinary. Financing with approved credit, $1,709 per month per $1,000 financed on select models.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition smart bed, plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Limited time. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Brewers fall 5-2 in game one of a 4-game set against the Dodgers. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. The good news is the Cardinals also lost, so you don't lose any ground. You still remain 7.5 games up on the Dodgers as the Brewers now at 67-51. I can't believe it, but there's only, 44 games left on the season here, Craig? It's going to be over in the blink of an eye, and Delina say it ain't early anymore, but there ain't much time left either. It's getting real fast.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, with Peralta's situation. I mean, you're right, and it is, and this is getting fun. And right now, just the fact that they have this big league, you got to feel good about that. But I'm telling you, you can't take anything for granted. We've seen this in Brewer history before down the stretch. A lot of teams have to deal with big leads when it starts to become crunch time, and you want guys to step up. And right now, guys have stepped up at certain times. Hitters have stepped up. Pitchers have stepped up. And when it meshes together, this is a really good team. When it doesn't, you want guys to pick up one another, and I think that's what's going to be crucial down the stretch here. Are we going to see that, enough so they can secure this division and continue to push, for a top 2 seeding and get that bye? Because, man, it is amazing the job that they have done all season long to get it this close to the Dodgers and the Phillies for one of those top 2 seeds.
And it may not even be the Dodgers, the team that need to chase it. They still could be the Phillies because the Phillies have been in free fall. Those two teams entered today with the exact same record. The Phillies tonight were idle, so the Brewers will remain back of them now by a full game. They're a game and a half back of the Dodgers. And still, the Brewers can turn around and win the next 3 games of this series. It would be difficult, but it's not impossible. And then they would win the season series and be sitting in the 2 seed if things ended there. Let's talk a little about offense here. First, a bright spot. William Contreras. 111-mile-an-hour double off of Clayton Kershaw, and then an opposite field homer on a 99-mile-an-hour fastball off Joe Kelly. If William Contreras is going to start getting hot, going 2 for 3 with a walk today, where do I sign? Because him in the cleanup spot has really been working out well for him.
Yeah, it really has for sure. I mean, big night for him, and it follows. Yesterday was the ejection, correct, Dom?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know what's going to spark a guy either or put him over the top. And, today was good. The one thing, and I'm looking at the box score here with how I have things scored. My one mystery, and I was not listening on the broadcast at that time in the second inning to pick up what BA and Rocket said, but that strike him out, throw him out in the second inning when he was headed to third was very bizarre. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, if he thought that there was already 3 outs or what. But after that, though, I mean, the dude's good, and he can carry a club. We know what he did at the beginning of the season. It would be great to see him do this to finish things up.
Yeah, you led me into the bad. Like, I started with the good. Now I'm like, what the heck was he doing there? I don't want it to be like, oh, my God, that's the reason the Brewers lost the game. I was just like, that was a moment, too, because the game was still scoreless, and you had first and second and 1 out. Hoskins is battling for his life. He works 9 pitches, and he strikes out, and Contreras is trying to steal third for some reason. I don't know if – it didn't look like he thought there were 2 outs because he would have been running on the previous pitches because there were foul balls. And I don't know if he saw something from Kershaw and then was surprised by the slide step or I was so shell-shocked by that mistake, and then, of course, the Dodgers follow up with a 2-run home run in the third inning because it always happens like that. A texter here, Austin from Poinnette, asking about Bryce Terang, and Terang had a tough day again today, and all of his at-bats came against a left-handed pitcher, 0 for 4 with a pair of strikeouts, both of them looking. For Terang, the season numbers against lefties still aren't pretty. And he's been getting opportunities against lefties. This was his second time leading off a game against a left-hander, but he had been starting games in the 9 spot. I remember against the Marlins when he wasn't in the lineup at all, we were begging, just put him in there. Well, now all of a sudden we've got a sample size now. It's a 227 average. It's a sub-300 on-base percentage. He's just simply not the same guy against lefties, and I don't want to take him out of the order, but I think you need to reassess keeping him in the top of the spot when you're facing a southpaw.
Yeah, I was almost a little surprised to see that today, but part of me wants to believe that they're at least in a position to give him these learning opportunities and see how he handles it, see if he has any success. To me, it almost goes back to last year, during his rookie season. You have to battle through things. You have to hit plateaus that are positive and get something out of it and find a way to move up to that next step. I don't know if that's part of the plan here or not, but it almost seems like at least they've reached that point with Turang in his young career that they want him to be that guy. They want to keep him at the top of the lineup no matter if it's righty-lefty. So perhaps that's part of this experiment right now, and perhaps you can do that when you have a big division lead too. I'm not sure, but look, they're still missing Yelich. They're still trying to figure out these lineups. They're still trying to figure out how to get guys collectively out of slumps and not be 0 for the homestand so far, or 1 for 15 for the homestand so far. I mean, there's a lot of that offensively. This team's only scored 6 runs over their last 3 games, so they're in that downward swing again.
Yeah, and this was a stat that just blew my mind. Sometimes you forget to do check-ins on your own team when I'm diving in onto the opposing team. Bryce Turang in the second half, have you seen this, Craig? He is only hitting 153 since the All-Star break. Furthermore, the home run he hit the other day against the Reds, that was his first extra base hit of the second half. There's something, could it be fatigue? Could it be just the long season? Could it be an adjustment against him? But Turang, man, he's ice cold right now, to say the least, and maybe he stays in the leadoff spot against righties, but I don't see a reason to keep him up there even this high. Maybe try to find a way to give him a breather, and it makes more sense why we've seen so much of Andrew Monasterio as of late.
Well, maybe, and here's the other thing, in my opinion, if you're willing to move pretty much everyone else around in the lineup, I mean, you've already got Contreras moved down in that cleanup spot. You've got Willie in the 5 spot. You got Reese all the way down in the 7 spot right now. If you're willing to do that with those guys, I say maybe you should be willing to, experiment with someone else at the top of the order. Maybe give them a few games as a shot up there. And Turang's batted 9th a lot too. We've seen that. We've seen success there as well. So I'm with you. If you're going to do it, this is the time to do it, because you're already moving other guys around, and you're still trying to make up offensively for the loss of Yelich at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you got nothing to lose. I mean, all you can do is lose the season series tomorrow if you lose the game, so might as well shake things up against the young right-hander in Gavin Stone. Craig Gashawn, appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you again tomorrow and all week long here on WTMJ. Thanks, Craig.
All right, sounds good, Dom.
All right, Craig Gashawn joining us here on your home of the Brewers. We'll talk a little bit about the season standings and what the Brewers need to do here down the stretch. And, yes, I've seen the commentary like, well, they can't beat good teams. We'll break that down next here on WTMJ.
Wisconsin volleyball has a new home.
It's match point in Madison.
Catch all the excitement of the 2024 season.
Booth and Spreck putting up that Wisconsin wall.
And don't miss out on moments like this.
Booth dunks it down with 2 hands, and that's a point for Wisconsin. Set, Spreck, kill Franklin.
Badgers volleyball on WTMJ is presented by Steinhoffels. Don't miss any of the action right here on Wisconsin's radio station, 620 WTMJ.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
Solving your breathing triangle problem can lead to better sleep and a better quality of life. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. results may vary.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments, and exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperfiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find partners that can help make it happen for you. This is Brad Younglith with Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semperfi.
Ask about our finance options.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
A couple bright spots to point out as we move off of this game and kind of look at a bigger scope. Brewers fall 5-2 to the Dodgers. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Bryce Wilson, 6 up and 6 down. Sneaky important. Getting Brian Hudson back was big. I know it wasn't his most effectiveness, but yet it feels like the only team that's getting runs off of him is the Dodgers. He walked Shohei Ohtani with 2 outs and got ahead of Betts 0-2, but there's a reason why Betts is one of the best hitters in the game. He ends up poking a single the other way for an RBI hit. That made it 5-2, and that was really all she wrote for both teams. The Dodgers didn't get another hit. The Brewers didn't get another hit after the 6th inning. Also a bright spot, Gary Sanchez on base a couple more times, including an opposite field single. Willie, a couple more hits today. Those are a few bright spots from this one. I've seen the commentary. Brewers can't beat the good team. Brewers can't beat the big team. Why can't they get it done, Dom? Why can't they do it? Okay, you're right. They've not had a great schedule against teams that are, quote-unquote, in the playoff race. However, you can point out that they're 2-5 against the Padres, and they're one of the best teams in the National League. They haven't played the Diamondbacks yet. Let's see what happens there. But they lost a series to the Yankees. Now, the Yankees were hitting their peak there in late April, early May, and now they're a very different team. You also conveniently ignore they swept the Mets. They've won 3 out of 4 against the Twins. They've still won the season series against the Cubs, and the Cubs are still flirting with 500. They can certainly get above it. They're frisky in this wild card race right now. They went 4-2 against the Braves. They still won a series at Fenway. They won a series at Camden. They won a series against the Mariners. So you can pick and choose all you want of the games that they can't beat a good team, Don. They're 0-3 against the Phillies. Well, what about when the Phillies come here for a 4-game set? What if the Brewers win 3 out of 4 there? There's still season to be played and stuff to be figured out. Being 1-3 against the Dodgers, it stings. But let's hold judgment until the fat lady's singing. She's warming up, but she ain't singing yet. And we'll figure things out from there. In my opinion, the Brewers can still win the season series against the Cardinals. They can finish 12-1 against the Cardinals for all we know and dominate this Central Division. And even if they're still the 3 seed and they don't make it out of the wild card round, like they only go to the wild card round and they're in the postseason, That's not satisfying, but they have a chance. Just get in. Then anything can happen. I'm not saying the Brewers are going to be satisfied with just getting to the wild card round if they get bounced in the wild card round. No one will be satisfied with that. I will not be satisfied with that. The Brewers in the front office would not be satisfied with that. That's why I think it's so important for them to try to get this 2nd seed and move on. Whereas if you can win these next 3 games against the Dodgers, you set yourself up. Now, the Phillies come here later on. The Phillies will come here in September. It's a 3-game set, I beg your pardon, not a 4-game set. So the Brewers would need to sweep to match that season series, and then it goes to divisional record after that. But maybe they'll just have a better record than them for the 2nd seed because that could certainly help things down the stretch. This is part of a gauntlet there at the start of September where the Brewers will play Giants, Diamondbacks, Phillies, Diamondbacks, Pirates, Mets. And the Pirates will probably be out of it by then, but they could still have Skeens throwing or something. So they're going to have quite a gauntlet down the stretch here for the Crew. Pat Murphy coming up next as the Brewers fall by a 5-2 score here on WTMJ.
With a local Milwaukee team, Fifth Third Bank knows what success looks like. They've been serving businesses and individuals in the area for nearly 15 years, including a long-standing commitment to the healthcare industry. From expansion to treasury management, Fifth Third offers a full suite of financial services and solutions across the healthcare spectrum to meet the complex moments you're navigating. Fifth Third Bank, National Association. Custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guests, 2-day painting and accurate basement repair. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. Yet at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstad here. I absolutely love Wisconsin this time of year. It's absolutely heaven, especially on a lake, especially after a swim perhaps, or maybe even water skiing. But again, you know how that goes. You do something like that, then the joint pain really starts to act up. The knees really start to bark. And you know you want to take care of it, but you don't want surgery. Well, there is another way. QC Kinetics. There's exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief in your joints, and the place to go is QC Kinetics, using cutting-edge treatments, but no surgery, no drugs, and here's the best part, no downtime. You can get right back to work the day of your treatment. Call QC Kinetics today and find out what they can do for you. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. This is the future of medicine. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation, 414-285-3474.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Couple of texts here. Brian in Kenosha with a good one here. Freddie has never been an ace. He's never claimed to be an ace. He's never had ace numbers and doesn't get paid like an ace. He's a solid 3 or 4, and he always has been. Don't blame him. Don't blame the front office for not replacing Burns and Woodruff. We weren't supposed to be this good yet, so just enjoy this team for what it is. And you can look ahead to next year. Woodruff would start opening day if everything goes according to plan. You got Freddie, you got Ray, you got Hall, you got Myers, you got Mizorowski on the way, you got Chad Patrick on the way. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, they might be a little bit early right now for their thing. What's the record for the Brewers against above 500 teams? As I'm pulling that up right now, the crew, stand by, live stats research here. Ding, dun, 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 dun. The Brewers this season against teams above 500 are 30-25, including tonight. So they're 5 games above 500 against teams that are above 500, and that does not include any games against the Cubs right now, since the Cubs are currently below 500. Doesn't include any games against the Pirates. They're below 500. So still a solid season, to say the least. The Brewers still got plenty of time, but Pat Murphy had some honesty for the media today after today's loss.
He's a consummate pitcher, like this guy is Hall of Famer for a reason. And, he'd be the first to tell you his stuff isn't as good, but he knows how to pitch, and that kid behind the plate is one of the most underrated players in the game. And people all know about him, but that kid's good, and they work together good. And, I haven't seen our young guys respond that way. You know what I mean? I haven't seen our young guys kind of seem like that, the moment was a lot. And a little surprised, but Kershaw was great. He deserves everything he's going to get in this game. He works his tail off, and I've heard he's an incredible leader, and so he was good. We still had our chances. We still had chances.
As far as those young guys, is that then what you'll take away from a night like tonight? Is you hope? Well, what do you hope they come away from tonight with?
Yeah, this is it, man. If you want to swim with the Sharks, you got to be willing to step up in these situations and put together. Forget about who's on the mound. And forget about, it's baseball. It's pitch by pitch, and I'm not disappointed in any. I'm not mad at anybody or anything like that. I just felt like we didn't have the right approach there mentally for. situation, but they're young guys in front of their hometown crowd, and it's Kershaw, so that means something. So we did some good things, and we were close enough, and you think about it, give up 5 runs today, 2 home runs that you can't take away. Jackson made a great effort to get the one, but 2 of the best players in the game hit a home run. I thought Freddie Peralta was fantastic, but the 4 runs came on 2 infield hits and 2 home runs. And then the last run came on because we didn't hold a runner. We walked the guy with 2 outs and nobody on. We didn't hold a runner, and we gave up, we went from 0-2 to 3-2 to give up the hit with not holding a runner, and that changed. That made it, that's a little thing. So you think of the 2 infield hits and not holding a runner, going from 0-2 to 3-2. And again, granted, another great player got the hit. But we had our opportunity, to do that. So.
Yeah, he's laid it out there for you. You certainly had an opportunity. I love that line. You want to swim with the Sharks, you got to jump in the pool. So the Brewers are learning what that takes right now, and they maybe had their eyes twinkle a little bit seeing an all-time great like Clayton Kershaw tonight. We'll wrap up the program with at least a highlight. Hearing Bob Uecker call a William Contreras homer. That's coming up next here on WTMJ.
Trust in your family's comfort at home with Cider Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. They're the oldest family-owned HVAC company in southeast Wisconsin. 4 generations of Ciders, and their highly trained technicians provide a one-stop shop for all home and business comfort needs, including an emergency service line that's always live and a 12-year parts and labor warranty on all Daikin products. Get peace of mind by scheduling maintenance today with Cider Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. That's SEIDER, cider.com.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
As the kiddos get ready to get back to school, you can find really great back-to-school savings at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. School supplies and some surprisingly cool clothing too. And teachers, you get an additional discount. Get the best back-to-school bargains at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Since 1955, Geis has been the trusted garage authority in Wisconsin. Hey, don't let a busted garage door get you down. Call my friends at Geis today. With brands like CHI and LiftMaster, they have doors for every budget. They'll even build custom designs to meet your exact needs. For swift and reliable garage repair solutions, go to geisdoors.com. You can also visit their amazing showroom in Brookfield featuring hundreds of doors and openers and their custom design room.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
When you were young, all you wanted in the summer was an ice cream truck to roll by. Now, you just can't wait for the Harbor Freight parking lot sale to roll around. And it'll be here this weekend. Maybe you're looking to fill up that tool chest. Maybe you're looking for a tool chest to fill up. You'll save money either way. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until August 18th, 2024. While supplies last. Limitations apply.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Brewers Extra Innings brought to you by Cider Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical, waiving their $99 trip fee for HVAC service calls. Visit cider.com to visit and schedule an appointment today before it's too late. That's Cider, SEIDER.com. This one from Mark in West Bend, doubling down on what you said earlier. I get that. You can feel that way. talk about it with 29 other teams. There's a reason the other 29 other teams haven't done it. He's just not the same pitcher anymore. With that being said, the Brewers having to option DL Hall out today because they have so many starters in this rotation right now. They want to keep DL on a regular starting rotation, and having to fit him in and plug him like every 6th or 7th day. Like, nope, they want to keep him regular and get him back here hopefully by the end of the season. And some folks are worried about burning his final option year. Now, if he's back and he stays in the big leagues within the next 20 days, he is able to not lose that option year. However, you cannot bring him back sooner than 15 days if it's not for an injury. And lastly, there is a doubleheader in 18 days. One way you can bring him back is be the 27th man of a doubleheader. That's in Cincinnati in 18 days. And then if he stays, you don't burn that option year. So that's just me speculating and looking ahead here for what he could be looking at for the Crew. We're right back here tomorrow. A couple of things to look out for with this one. The Crew, and it'll be Colin Ray taking the ball tomorrow, going up against Gavin Stone. Same time, same place, 7:10 first pitch. We're on the air at 6 o'clock with Brewers warm-up. The On Deck Show will take over at 6:35. And then I'll be in here as well for postgame. And we're also on national TV again tomorrow, but it's not an exclusive. So if you're one of the folks that syncs up your television, you can still watch it on Bally. Or maybe if you're listening on the podcast and you're out of market, Tuesday's game is on TBS, and you'll hear a familiar voice, Brian Anderson and Jeff Frencourt on the call. 7:10 tomorrow, 7:10 on Wednesday, and then 1:10 on Thursday. The Brewers are still 7.5 games up. It's all A-OK. My thanks to our producer, Matt Yazel. I'm Dom Cotroneo. Until next time, keep on swinging.
An epic Brewers homestand kicks off August 9th, featuring a division duel against the Reds. First place battles with the Dodgers and Guardians, plus 3 giveaway games. Find the game for you at brewers.com/tickets.
I was stuffed up. It was almost like someone put a clothespin over my nose. As an athlete, it did affect my performance. And as I got older,